Hey guys, it's Yorkie here with another multiplayer Project Cars video, and this week we're going to be racing around the Bathurst circuit, Mount Panorama. Absolutely fantastic track. It's featured previously on my channel as a track that I do enjoy driving, and again we're going to be doing a GT3 class race. This week we're in the Audi R8 LMS Ultra. We're starting P1 on the grid, jumping straight into the start sequence. There's the green light, launching the car off the line, getting an okay start, not too much wheel spin. However, not quite as good as that McLaren on the outside, who has taken P1 into the first corner. Very small lockup, but nothing major, and it looks like we're both cleanly through as we're pulling away from the pack behind us, as you can see in the rear view mirror. And straight away you can see a problem that I'm going to have to be dealing with throughout the duration of this race, and that is the power that the McLaren has over this Audi. The top end speed is a good 5 to 10 miles an hour quicker than this Audi. However, through this section onwards for well, the next half lap, this is where the Audi kind of makes up for that lack of power. It's a lot better in the corners, better braking, and it just seems to be a little bit more stable through those slower turns. McLaren has pretty good medium corners grip, but through the slower turns and the braking, the Audi is a lot better. So you can see that gap visually closing as we're running along the top of the mountain right now. He's clipping the wall just there, and it does a little weird bounce thing. And downshift through this pretty fast left-hander, and now this is where we start to drop back down the mountain again. However, this section is really difficult. You do need a nice smooth rhythm. The car is constantly going from being very light coming over a crest like that corner just there to having lots of grip when a car compresses down into the surface of the track. And this is where the car compresses down into this corner, so you get a fair decent amount of grip. However, getting a little bit too much wheel spin on the exit, which has compromised it ever so slightly, having to counter steer into the slide, and as you can see the McLaren is now starting to pull away. That has actually cost me, even though I'm nailing every single shift coming down this straight. You can just see constantly the car is just disappearing off into the distance. It's just leaving me for, well, yeah, it's frustrating. However, into this braking zone, as you can see, I managed to pull that gap back quite tremendously. I think I had a much better corner than he did, much faster apex speed, and has allowed me to close right back up and get even closer into the final corner now. Hooking up that apex nicely, a lot better than he did, getting a decent exit as well, and now very close, only about a car length behind. But again, you can see the McLaren starting to pull away ever so slightly, getting quite a big lockup coming into turn 1. However, we're still managing to get it down enough to get the car turned in. And we're now coming on to the next straight, trying to sit in this guy's slipstream to try and minimise the effect of its top line speed that this McLaren has. And again, you can just see it pulling away. However, I do think I'm a little bit closer than I was on the first lap coming into this section, so hopefully I'll be able to push, especially as the tyres are warming up now more and more, be able to push more and more, get closer to the back of that car for when we come down the back straight down towards the final couple of corners. You can just see, just able to hook up the corners a lot better than the McLaren up ahead. Running the curb there, revs going high as the wheels start to spin, but managing to keep hold of the car. And again, running along the top of the mountain, we are visually closing right up onto the back of the McLaren, getting a little bit of oversteer, but still managing to keep it on the track. Just trying to stay away from those walls, as hitting those will probably send me into a spin and basically cost me this race. Getting a much better line through this section. You just need to be nice and smooth, be very patient. Just like I said, try and build that rhythm, and you can see I'm right underneath the McLaren. There's hardly any room for actually overtaking down through the section, so all I've got to do is just sit behind them, make sure I get a good exit, good run out of this corner, which I managed to do. That's pretty good, although I could have been closer to the wall on the inside there. And just try and nail every single shift, try and stay in that slipstream as you come down this straight, and try and, you know, just keep that gap as small as possible as we come into this next braking section. Coming into this right hand kink now, use the width on the track on the left there, clip the curb on the inside, brake really hard, shift down the gears, try not to run the rev limiter too much, as you can actually break the gears on these cars now. You can actually break the car shifting too hard. To the final corner, not quite as close as it was on the previous lap, hitting the wall there. That's just going to cost me quite a lot of time actually, as the McLaren's now even pulling away even more. We're now into lap 3. Very small lockup, but nothing like it was on the previous lap. Getting a decent run through that first corner though. Picking that up pretty nicely, in fact. It's probably as good as I was going to get it. But yeah, the McLaren, like every other lap on every other straight, is disappearing off ahead. So we're tackling two giants in this race. One being the actual track itself, the mountain, as it's pretty damn tough, I must say. Looking very, very nice though, especially through this section with all the trees. Looking absolutely fantastic. And the second is that McLaren up ahead. So all I can really do is just stay where I am, constantly pressurise him, try and get as close as possible, just pressure the guy in front to try and force him into making a mistake. As you see, he's hit the wall twice already back there on this lap, and he's gone and hit the wall quite hard again, but he's getting away with it. Coming into this section now and actually running wide, getting a big moment there, just about managing to hold on to it as it ran over the gravel and dirt on the outside of the track. It was very, very close to just completely losing the car. And again, getting some more oversteer through that right-hander there, having to flick the wheel left to try and save it, which is what I mentioned to do. And he's got his line horribly, horribly wrong through this section, which is actually has actually gone and distracted me, and didn't get the corner hooked up as well as I would have liked to, and clipped the wall on the outside. So again, we're coming down this back straight, just trying to maximise the top end speed of this car, trying to stay as close to the McLaren as possible as he disappears again off into the distance. But this is all I need to do, is just keep pushing, trying to close that gaps, trying to present myself in the mirrors, try and force him into an error as I run a little bit wide, but nothing too major. Still managing to keep my foot in there without having to wrestle the wheel and wrestle the car too much. So getting an okay run through that last corner. Rode the curb on the inside a little bit too much, but nothing too major. Coming into the first turn now, hooking this up very nicely, although going a little bit wide and having to fight the car again. Something that I do actually like an awful lot about Project Cars, as I do give him a flash, saying, hey, come on, let me come with you. But yeah, something that I do like is getting up onto the curbs too aggressively, also running onto the grass and giving it the beans will cause the car to become very unsettled and will often end up in a spin. So as you can see, he's actually pulled away. He's hitting the barriers here and there. There's a couple of dust kick-ups. Again, he's got to hit the barrier a third time, and it's just a case of being nice and smooth. I'm trying to avoid the barriers myself, although I clipped it just there, but I managed to get away with it. He's again gone and hit the barrier. And just try and carry the speed all the way through this section of the track. Try and push through this corner here, getting that hooked up quite nicely, clipping the exit curb rather nicely, and again being nice and smooth through this section. Just favouring the throttle, favouring the brake, clipping the barrier on the inside, but nothing too bad. Getting a nice smooth run. The gap is closing to the guy up ahead, which is good. And oh god no, he's gone and actually hit the wall on the inside, which is going to send into the wall on the outside. That's exactly what I've wanted to do. Basically just try and pressure him into a mistake. And although I was quite far behind, I think him knowing that I'd be closing through that section probably applied that little bit of pressure for him to push through that top end of the mountain there, which probably was one of the reasons why he was hitting the wall. Also, having actually spoke to the guy after the race, it turned out that he had picked the soft tyres, and where he had been pushing, I think his tyres had gone quite warm and also had worn themselves down quite a bit. He was losing the grip that he had on the previous 2 laps, hence 3 laps, sorry, hence why he was clipping the wall and struggling through that section. So that's now gifted me P1, and now it's just a case of coming into the final lap, just trying to be as smooth as possible. Missing the apex on the first turn there, but still managing to get the corner done and dusted, coming out the exit quite nicely without running too wide. And yeah, for me this is just pushing to see if I can get the fastest lap of the race now. I've got some very clean air, so braking quite late into this section. Obviously not pushing too hard to try and basically throw the race. Taking a nice smooth line through that corner there, that right-hander. Now coming into this fairly fast left-hander, which you have to brake for. You can give it a little bit of acceleration coming out for it, but then you do have to get onto the brakes again for the hairpin. This section is fairly quick. You're probably giving it about 50-60% throttle. If you actually hook up the corner, you can give it a little bit more, though I did miss the apex on that one. This one here is very slight lift on the entry. You're probably about 80% throttle carrying it through. Again, same through this corner, you're about flat out from this point onwards. Avoid the dirt on the outside. I did lift there. And now coming into the section, braking, accelerating. Braking ever so slightly, accelerate again, brake. Coming in, just balancing, feathering the throttle, lifting off coming into that section. This corner here, near enough flat out if you can get the car hooked up. Flat out again, lifting off and braking. Coming into this section here, give it a tiny spur of the throttle, sorry, as you're coming over the crest, and then you give it the brakes again. Watch the wheel spin coming out the that hairpin there. As you can see, again, rather crossed up, having to fight the car, just about managing to keep hold of it and maintaining the gap to a guy named Badger, who's 6 seconds behind me, as you can see down in the bottom left there from that data. Completely flat out through this kink, hard on the brakes, shifting all the way down into second gear, getting on the accelerator before you actually get to the apex and carrying that speed through. That corner's near enough flat out if you actually get a nice smooth run. Again, hooking up the car, hooking up the grip on that rear end, braking just as you get to the cones of the pit entry there, and then hooking up the curb on the inside, and then for a nice run down to the final corner to take the win. It does go into a cinematic mode, but you still do have control of the car, so there's me braking, turning into the corner, giving a little flash of the headlights, and we're going to end the video there. So that was a very, very good race. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I certainly did, driving it. One of my favourite tracks in the game, and an absolutely fantastic car as well. Please give the video a rating. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. Otherwise, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content in the future. I shall hopefully see you soon, guys. Take care.